What's going on, guys? It's KS here, and I'm back again with another Roblox scripting tutorial. In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a more advanced um, button ripple effect. This is expanding on a video I created in 2019, showing how to create a ripple effect just like this one. Um, except when I created that video in 2019, it was more of a get the job done type of uh, video. It was kind of just something basic, and it's not really something you should use in long term if you're looking for something that'll look have a nice feel to it. But if you're just looking for something to get the job done, I guess that video works. But I'm just gonna be going over a more advanced way of doing this. So as you can see, if I hold down click on the button, it floods it. And then if I move it away while still holding down click, it releases the active state. If I click and then release immediately, it will fade out, but will still expand out to the edge of the button. And you can click on the edge, it will expand out from there. So, I guess we can go ahead and get started. I will right now I will mention that at the end of the video I'll show how to add the hover effect scene here. It's kind of a basic thing, but if you want to stick around to the end to see that, I'll go ahead and show how to make that as well. So I guess to start off here, we can go ahead and delete the script here. And what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put this code that I'll be showing you how to write, and I'll explain how it all works. You're going to want to put it in the environment where your button is going to be wherever you're going to want to handle your ripple effect at. You can do this by putting the script inside of the text button or the button that you're going to be using. You could put in a script somewhere else and loop through all the buttons that you are wanting to put the ripple effect on and apply it to all of them. You can apply it to your framework, just whatever you want to do. But in this video, I'll just for the sake of demonstration and the tutorial, I'm gonna be using a button that I've pre-made here, and I will be inserting a script inside of the button. And I'm gonna call this button ripple effect. And so you can name this whatever you want, but just name it really what it is. It's just the ripple effect. So all right, so once you've done that, you can go ahead and open the script and delete the print hello world. So we're going to import or get a couple of services. First, we're going to get the player service. So we're going to go local players equal to game colon get service players. We're also going to need run service. And we're going to just go ahead and do local run service equal to game. I can actually type get service run service. And we're also going to need the tween service. We're just going to do tween service is equal to game get service tween service. All right. So basically, we're going to use player service to get the local player's mouse. For run service, we're going to be specifically using the rendered stepped render stepped event. And for tween service, we're just going to use the create function or constructor to create a tween. We're actually going to be creating multiple tweens in this video. So we're going to go ahead and grab the local player's mouse. We'll do local mouse equal to players.local player and get mouse. And what this does is it gets, um it gets the player's mouse, as the name states, but we're gonna need this to get the position of the player's mouse on the players, or on the on the game window. Um, we will be using this also to find the relative position where they clicked on the button by using the um, button position, the absolute button position. So um, we're going we're gonna go ahead and define a couple other variables. So we're gonna need the button. So we'll go button equal to script parent in my case. And the place that you're going to be parenting the circle to, circle for the ripple effect. Uh, this can be to the button itself. Obviously, you can use it, use the button. But in my case, with the way I have mine set up, I'm gonna put it inside of the background frame that you can see right here, underneath the script here. So we're gonna do a local background uh, is equal to button wait for child. Oh, background. Next up, we're going to create a function called create circle. This is going to be used later on to create the circle for the ripple effect. So we're going to go local function create circle. Now you don't have to use a create circle function. You can you can pre-make um a circle and put it inside of the script, or put it in replicated storage. But I'll be using a function to create it uh, every single time the uh, the button is clicked. So uh, we're going to create a frame. We're gonna call it circle. We're gonna go local circle is equal to instance.new, and we're gonna create a frame. We're also gonna need a UI corner. What do you call it? Just we're gonna need UI corner. So we're gonna go. I'm gonna call this one corner radius equal to instance.new. We're gonna call it. We're gonna grab the UI corner. So uh, so circle or the frame will act as the circle. This will be what's visible, and then the UI corner will make it a circle. So we're gonna use the corner radius property of UI corner to uh, turn the square frame into a circle. So what we'll do now is we're gonna set the properties of each of these. We're gonna do circle dot anchor point is equal to vector2.new. We're gonna set it to 0.5, 0.5, which will basically set the anchor point to the center of the frame. And then we'll set the circle background color 3 to whatever color you want the circle to be. So in my case, I'll be setting it to 25, 118, and 210, which is the color of the background of this button. I'm using one color, just different different opacities for each one, for each element. And then we're going to set the circle size property to udim2.new, and we're gonna set it to all zeros, because we're gonna want it to be nothing when we start with it. We want it to expand from 0 when the person clicks on the button. And then we're gonna go ahead and set the corner radius, or the UI corner's corner radius to a udim, udim value. So not udim2, but udim, and we're gonna do 0.5 and 0. So basically, 50% and 0 for the offset. And then we'll set the parent to the circle. And then we'll go ahead and return the circle. Oh shit, I forgot the sign there. Alright, so this creates a circle and returns it. So now we're gonna go ahead and create the function for that will handle the entire effect itself. So we'll do local function is equal or local function on mouse button 1 down, and we're going to go back up to the top here and create a variable called active. We're going to set it to false. This will be the active state for the function or the button. And so when the mouse button is down, we're going to go ahead and set active to true because the button is now active. The person is actively clicking on the button. And then we're going to create another function below that called on mouse button 1 up. And we're just going to have that one set active to false. So back up to the mouse button 1 down function. We're going to drop down a couple lines here. And we're going to get the button's absolute size and the absolute position. So we're going to do local button absolute size is equal to button dot absolute size. And then button absolute position equal to button dot absolute position. We're gonna need both of these later on in this function, and actually we're gonna need the button's absolute position in a second here, because we're going to get we're gonna get the absolute position and the relative position of the mouse, the player's mouse. We're gonna do mouse absolute position is equal to vector2.new. And we're going to do mouse.x and mouse.y. So the mouse object does not have a position value, rather it has an x and y value. But in the case of what we're going to be doing, we're going to be subtracting from this value. So we're going to need to create a vector2 value because we're going to be subtracting a vector2 value from this value. So we're going to go ahead and create a vector2 value with the x and y position of the mouse. So now coming down here, we can do mouse relative position is equal to mouse absolute position minus the button absolute position. And this will get the exact position that the person clicked on the button, so the relative position on the button. So the difference between the mouse position that is provided from the mouse and the relative position is the position is the absolute position is where they clicked on the screen. But what we want is where they clicked on the button itself, because we're going to be positioning the circle relative where they clicked on the button, because the parent of the circle will be the button itself and not the entire screen. So it only makes sense to use the relative position. So we can go ahead and create the circle now. So we'll just do local circle is equal to create circle. And we'll set a couple more properties. We'll do circle dot background transparency, and I'm going to set this on to 0.84 for my button, since I think 0.84 looks the best for this button. but obviously you can use whatever value works best for your project. Um, but for the sake of what I'm showing here, I'm going to use 4. We're then going to set the circle's position to a udim2 value, udim2.new, and we're going to set the values to 0, mouse relative position dot x, 0, and then mouse relative position dot y. We're set. Like I said, we're going to be putting these positioning the circle relative to where they clicked on the button. And then we can go ahead and set the parent of the circle to the background or the button, so wherever you're going to be placing this circle. All right, so now we're getting to the point where we actually need to find out where or how big we want to make this circle, because how big we make the circle depends on where the distance from so we've got the 4 corners on the button, right? So we've got we got the top left, top right, and bottom left. And so let's say I clicked right about here. The farthest corner away from where I clicked would be the top right corner, because you know, straight across would be bottom right. But that's shorter than diagonally going across here. So we're gonna want to flood this entire button. So to do that, we need to use we're gonna need to find which corner is farthest away from where the player clicked. So to do this, we're gonna need to obviously find distance. We're gonna need to calculate the distance from each corner. So I'm gonna create a function for this, because it would get pretty repetitive to write the same, math problem over and over again, just with different values. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go local function is equal to or local function calculate distance. It's gonna take in point A and point B, and it's going to return the math.square root of we're gonna do point B dot x minus point A dot x to the power of 2, and we're going to add that to point B dot y minus point A dot y to the power of 2. Now, so what this is doing is it's taking the point B's x value and subtracting point A's x value from it, and getting and just multiplying it by itself, and then adding it to point B's y value minus point A's y value to the power of 2. So this would basically be the distance from whatever, distance between point A and point B. So now we can go ahead and go down here and create 4 variables. So we're going to do local top left, local top right, local bottom right, and local bottom left. And we're going to start with top right. We're going to do calculate distance, and we're going to pass in the mouse relative position as the first parameter, and then we're going to pass in a vector2.new 0 0, because top left would in computers in computing, the 0, 0 would be the top left um, of the frame. Uh, so we're gonna go ahead and set the vector 2 for top left to 0, 0. Then we'll go down to top right and we'll do calculate distance, passing in the same value, mouse relative position. Then we'll do vector 2.new. And we're going to pass in button absolute size dot x and 0. So basically, um, uh, going across here, we got x distance away from the 0, 0, but we're also still on 0.0 on the y-axis, so we have to set y to 0. Then bottom right will be calculate distance, mouse relative position, and instead of creating a new vector 2 value, we actually already have this vector 2 value, so we're going to use the button absolute size, because the button absolute size is basically the bottom right corner, because the size is, the distance away from 0.00. It's literally just diagonally across. So that one was pretty simple to just write out. And then bottom left will be calculate distance, mouse relative position, and then another vector 2.new. And instead of using the button absolute size here, we're going to do 0, and then do the button absolute size dot y. So now we've got the distance away from each of the corners. We've got the top left, top right, and bottom left. But now we got to determine which one's the farthest away. So we've got how far each one away, like the distances between each of the points, but we don't know yet which one is the farthest away. So to do that, we can do local size is equal to math.max. And what math.max does is it takes in I get as many values as you want to add into it, and it returns the highest value of all the numbers provided. So we'll go ahead and give this function every single one of these values. I'm just gonna put them in the order that I have them at the top here. And there we go. But for the circle size, we're gonna want to because if we just use this size here, it would literally just be it would only fill up half the button because um um this is only the if we because we're expanding from the center point of where they clicked. So this would basically be the value divided by 2, so it'd expand out half of this value. So we're going to need to multiply it by 2 so that it floods the entire button. Hopefully that made sense. I feel like I butchered that statement, but or that explanation, but hopefully it was understandable. So we're gonna go ahead and set a few variables down here. So we're gonna get the tween time, and I'm gonna set it to 0.5. This is a half a second, so this will be in seconds. Basically, I'm gonna set this one to half a second, because it looks the cleanest for me. But you can use whatever duration you want. But in my case, I'm just gonna use a half a second, so 0.5. We're now gonna use started timestamp, or we're gonna set a variable called started timestamp. I can type. There we go. And I'm just gonna leave it blank for now because this isn't gonna be set until later on. And I'm going to create a variable called completed. I'm gonna set it to false because it has not been completed yet. Now I'm going to create a tween for the effect. So I'm gonna go local expand, is equal to tween service colon create, and I'm going to pass in the circle, and I'm going to create a tween info object, and I'm going to pass in the tween time. I'm going to pass in the linear easing style, so I'm going to do enum.easing style linear, and I'm going to pass in the direction out, so I'm going to do enum dot easing direction dot out. And then I'll go ahead and pass in a table with the properties that I'll be changing. In my case, or in this case, we'll be using size, the size property, and setting it to udem2.new 0, then size, which was defined above here, which I just talked about, and then 0, and then size. So now we have created a tween object and stored it in the variable expand. So now I'm going to create a connection. And do local connection, but then I'm going to do connection is equal to run service dot rendered steps connect function. And so basically what I'm doing here is I'm creating a variable called connection, and then right below it I'm then setting the value of connection to the Roblox script connection of the rendered step connection here. Now the reason I'm not putting this all in one line, I'm doing two separate lines, is because I'm going to need to reference connection inside of the connection callback. And the reason for this is because once it's done, it's no longer gonna need to loop through the it's not gonna need to loop back through like it would for the next frame once it has once it has been fulfilled. Once it's good, it's done, it's no longer needed. So I'm going to check if not active. So if active is false, basically if they're no longer holding down click on the button, or they are no longer on the button anymore, then we will go ahead and um, uh, disconnect the connection. And this is where we're going to have it fade out when they have released the mouse button. So we're gonna go ahead and create a variable called default time. We're gonna set it to tween time divided by 3. Now the reason I'm setting it divided by 3 is because when it needs to be quicker than it needs to fade out quicker than the expand animation or the expand tween. And I felt that this seemed seemed like the best option, considering the way it turned out. You can use anytime if you feel like a different speed would be better. You can set this value to anything you want, but in my case, I'm just going to set it to the original expanding animation, or expand tween time divided by 3. Then we're going to get the time remaining of the expand tween. So the amount of time remaining when they release the click, and we're gonna set that equal to the tween time minus the current time, os.time, and subtracting started timestamp. So started timestamp is an os.time value when this tween was played. So when they clicked on the button, it will store it inside of the started timestamp, and uh, it will be subtracted from the time that they released it, so that we can use that uh, determine how fast um, to fade out the button. If they didn't wait for the button to fully flood before they release the button, basically. Um, then we'll go ahead and do local new tween time is equal to not completed. So if it's not completed, if completed is equal to false, and the time remaining is greater than default time, then we'll use the time remaining. Else, we'll just go ahead and use the default time, so that it can't go any less than the default time. If it goes less, then it would be way too quick. That's why I've created default time up here. We're now going to create the fade out tween. In this case, I'll be using a variable called fade out. And we're going to do tween service on create, and do circle as the instance. I'll do tween info new. I'm going to pass in the new tween time, and then set the easing style to easing style. I can't type style to linear, and the easing direction to out. Then gonna go ahead and create that table again, and for the property being used this time, I'm gonna be using background transparency and setting it to 1. So basically making it invisible. So now we're gonna go ahead and do fade out. On play. And we're gonna be setting the started timestamp to the os.time. Oh, I'm skipping ahead here. We're not gonna need that. We're gonna need fade out dot completed wait. So we're gonna basically wait until fade out has completed. And then we're going to go ahead and destroy the circle. So creates the tween, plays it, waits for it to be completed, then destroys the circle. We didn't wait for it to complete, then it would destroy the circle while it's playing, and we wouldn't want that, because then we wouldn't see it fade out, it would just appear, and it would kind of look really weird if that happened. And now below the render step connection, we're gonna go ahead and do expand on play. Then started timestamp is equal to os.time, and then expand dot completed on wait, and then completed is equal true. So basically, once the original expand tween was was finished, then completed, set to true. Done. It's done tweening. All right, so this right here should work. Just need to go ahead and connect it to the button events. So we'll do mouse button 1 down on connect, on mouse button 1 down, and then mouse button 1 up, connect on mouse button 1 up. So if we go ahead and play, it works as intended. And as you can see, it doesn't have that hover effect. Like I said, I'll show how to make that. But this right here is the ripple effect. This works just as it's supposed to. And it's working perfectly fine here. So this right here would be the end of the ripple effect section of the video. If you want to stay and watch me show how to make um uh the hover effect, I'm gonna go ahead and start that right now. So to do that, it's pretty simple. We'll go ahead and create a couple of new functions. We'll do local function on mouse enter, and then local function on mouse leave, and on mouse leave we'll go ahead and set active to false, and we'll go ahead and create a new variable at the top underneath active and do local hovering, false, and back down to these functions. We'll do inside of on mouse leave we'll do hovering is equal to false, and then in on mouse enter we'll do hovering is equal to true. So now that we got the values being set um, upon uh, on entering and leaving the button, we can go ahead and create a variable called tween time, and I'm going to set it to 0.125, so 125 milliseconds, and I'll set the another variable called tween info equal to tween info dot new, and I'm gonna do tween time enum dot using style dot linear, and then enum dot using direction dot out. Since I'm gonna be using the same tween info for all the tweens in this this hover effect, um, I'm just gonna predefine tween info above everything else. So I'm gonna create two tweens for each portion of this. I'm gonna do the background fade in and then border fade in, and then I'm gonna do background fade out and then border fade out. So I'm gonna do local background fade in equal to tween service colon create. I'm gonna set it equal to the background, then do tween info, and we're gonna be changing the background transparency, and I'm gonna set it to 0.95. So just barely making it visible. And then I can go ahead and copy this line, paste it below, and change it to border fade in. And instead of the background, we'll use background.border. And I'm gonna do set background transparency. We just need transparency, and the uh, transparency will be set to 0. And then I can go ahead and copy this because I'm gonna need it in a sec. Because I'm just gonna be changing a couple values for it. We're gonna do background fade in, one play, and then border fade in. But if it'll actually let me type it out, it'll autofill it. There we go. And we'll do background fade in dot completed on wait. So we're gonna basically wait for the first one to finish. We don't have to wait for both. We can just wait for one of them. They're gonna be playing at the same exact time, so we'll just wait for the first one to finish. And go ahead and paste what I copied above. And instead of background fade in, it'll be background fade out. And then instead of border fade in, it'll be border fade out. And instead of 0.95 for the background transparency, it'll be 1, and the transparency will be 0.5 for the border. So basically 50%. And then we'll just go ahead and create a repeat statement. So do repeat wait until not hovering, Basically, uh, just wait to play the animation or the tweens until the player um is no longer hovering over the button. We'll do so once they have um once the mouse leave event has occurred, we will go ahead and do background fade out, colon play, and then border fade out, colon play. And then I'll just go ahead and go right below these, do button dot mouse leave or mouse enter, connect on mouse enter, and then button dot mouse leave. I can type. There we go. Connect on mouse leave. All right. Now that should just be the effect there. As you can see, it just barely changes the transparency of the background, and then makes the border fully visible. Very simple, and it looks very nice for this button. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. This was a more in-depth version of the video I uploaded in 2019. Like I said, this is a lot more. It looks a lot cleaner. Basically, it looks better for your projects if you're trying to make it look nice. The other one is kind of just there if you want to. You just want something that works, and you don't want, and you just don't have much. Either you just don't have much experience in scripting or whatever it is that you don't have much experience in, or you um just want something simple. Whatever it is. The other one is a simple one. This is a more advanced one. So yeah. I will do more scripting tutorials like this one. I'm gonna try and make it a little bit better than this one. I feel like this one probably isn't gonna turn out that great. Um, that's just how I feel. I haven't watched over this yet, so all right. Yeah. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. See you guys in the next one. Peace.